from people that I know who love golf and play it a lot, they talk about it being a sport you compete more with yourself against the other people. What's your answer to that or comment to that?
I would say that's a very real thing. When you look at the leaderboard and you look at a scoreboard, if you're playing well, you're obviously competing with other people. That's just kind of the nature of the sport, right? Like there has to be a scoreboard that's no different than anything else. But there are very few times when I would say golf is easy, and I don't know all the science behind it and like what, how that kind of works, just cortexes and lobes and stuff. But when you put in the work and you put in the practice and you're able to just step out of the way and just turn your brain off and become an athlete, that is a very unique place to be. And when that does happen, that's when you see, you know, players go and shoot nothing. And those are really cool weeks. Tiger will talk about it from time to time, and every now and then you'll see it on tour. But those are special weeks. Conversely, if you don't have it, like I've had plenty of times where, before a round, like you're hitting it not great and you're not hitting it great. And that could be for a variety of different things, right? Maybe like you feel sluggish or lethargic, or you just got out of bed wrong. It happens. You just don't have it that day. You're a major league pitcher and you don't have your fastball, right? It happens. Conversely, as I was saying, you go out and even though you don't have your best stuff, you find a way to make it work. That's kind of what you're saying of it's almost like an internal competition with yourself where you maybe don't have your best pitches or your best stuff, but you found a way to go out there and compete. So to your point, I think that's where the internal battle kind of is derived.
But I'd also say that if you're in a competition and you're up on the leaderboard and it's really tight, I know people say, "Oh, don't look at the leaderboard," but we'll talk about risk decisions in golf later on. But you've got that's got to be part of the calculus. It's like, hey, I'm one stroke behind this guy. It changes what you do.
100%. Yeah, I experienced it a couple weeks ago. Yeah, we can unpack it later, but yeah, I think that leaderboard watching versus not watching, there's a time and place, and I don't know what the exact or inexact science is. Certainly in match play, it's right there in front of you, so you have a pretty good idea of kind of what's going on, and that's where you certainly get into more of the kind of risk versus reward, chance and analytics and internal decisions. But I think certainly in the beginning of an event, or convert, I'll even take even a step back from that. When I look back to 2017, I was fortunate enough to be low am in the Masters, and coming down the final 9 on Sunday, the guy who was on the bag for me, John Doherty, made the comment. He's like, "Joe, I'm going to go find out what the low am is." And my comment was kind of like, it's the day before my birthday. My birthday is April 10th. It's a perfect day. It's at Augusta National. Like whatever he shot is going to have no impact on how badly I'd like to play well. So let's do the best we can, and kind of in retrospect, I'm glad I didn't totally understand how big of a deal that was. But but yeah, winning's a skill and winning's hard. And it's something that we can all kind of strive to continue to get better at.
I was just thinking, as we're talking, what is the difference between an amateur and a pro? I mean, clearly the pros make money, but if you're an amateur in a pro tournament, don't you win money too? And what's the difference between all of that?
Happy to help you. It's a confusing concept. And by the way, you kind of nailed it. If you're a professional, then you can accept prize money, and obviously, you aspire to kind of make it to the top. As in terms of either world ranking or playing on the PGA Tour or now live, or however anyone wants to take a look at that. I'm more just laying out the landscape, right? But there's a really unique and special group, and I think if you look back historically, as an amateur player versus a professional player, it's something that isn't quite as common. I'm very comfortable with the idea of I don't need to play in 30 events a year to scratch that itch. I love to play. I love to compete. I'm really lucky to be kind of part of the community, that loves to do those things as well. There are people I look up to. They're business leaders. They're great fathers. They're great husbands. they look to build companies that have kind of far impacted the world beyond them that we could never imagine growing up. And those are the kinds of people that I kind of aspire to be like. And candidly, like a lot of the people that have replaced a lot of the idols I had as a kid when, you'd like to be, in my case, like a professional. So what it really comes down to is if you're a pro, that's what you do for a living. If you're not a pro and you're an amateur, then you likely have something else going on. In my case, I'm fortunate enough to work at BDT and MSD.